Oda reflects on how, back then, he was quite good at striking up conversations, unlike his current self. He knows he can't play games with kids anymore since he's grown up, but he can't help but watch them play. Suddenly, he spots Ageha. They hadn't come to the mall together and didn't expect to run into each other here. Curious, Oda asks Ageha what brought her to the mall. Ageha finds the question a bit odd, as she assumes he always stops by the games department, leaving her wondering why he would ask. Later, as Oda sees Ageha admiring a game box, he realizes she must have come to the mall to buy something. The character she's looking at is from a game Oda plays, and he knows that with the game's serial code, he can unlock bonus equipment. However, Ageha is more focused on the figure itself, which Oda isn't as interested in since he wants the bonus equipment for the game instead. Ageha then moves on to check some outfits featured on the game box, trying them on for Oda to see if they fit. When he looks at one particular dress, he notices it's too revealing and asks her if she would even be able to wear something like that in the game. As Oda helps her examine the game box, he discovers that the outfits would really boost her EXP and recovery stats, which surprises her. He explains that the increased EXP mainly enhances the game's tempo, but Ageha isn't too concerned about that. What matters most to her is the sexy appearance, and she knows they both enjoy those kinds of characters in games. Despite Oda's hesitance to buy such outfits in real life, Ageha tries to persuade him, speaking a bit too loudly as her excitement builds. Oda, already feeling a bit awkward, has to caution her about being too loud. However, Oda admits to Ageha that he doesn't have the courage to go to the register. Understanding his hesitation, Ageha volunteers to buy it for him. After she makes the purchase, she helps him put the item in a bag, and Oda genuinely thanks her, realizing that without her assistance, he would have just stood there, worrying about looking suspicious. Then Ageha suggests they check out some other boxes in the mall, wanting to look for swimsuits. She asks Oda to wait outside while she goes in to change. Oda feels uneasy about this, worried that he might get reported for loitering at the entrance of the changing room. After a while of standing around, he decides to hurry Ageha along, feeling awkward, but she doesn't seem to mind at all. She takes her time, trying on dresses one after another. Finally, she asks him to help her choose a swimsuit that would give her the biggest EXP boost. Oda is taken aback by her question. He had assumed she would realize that something like that would actually increase his critical hits, and he has to quickly glance away. However, club activities are usually banned during the test period, as everyone focuses on extra studying in the classroom after school. During the break, Oda decides to seize the opportunity to play some games. While he is engrossed in his gameplay, he suddenly hears a voice questioning him about why he's playing a game. Initially startled, he tries to lie, but when he looks up and sees it's Ageha, he feels relieved. Ageha checks out the game Oda is playing and is surprised to see that he's playing Famicom games on his smartphone. Oda explains that he's able to do this thanks to some apps he just discovered. As Ageha continues to browse, she sees that Oda also plays retro games and asks him why he enjoys them. Lost in thought, Oda inadvertently mutters that it's because he likes her, which shocks Ageha since she wasn't expecting such a confession. Realizing his mistake, Oda quickly restructured his words, saying he meant that he plays because she likes playing too, which sparked his interest. Ageha misinterprets this as him still having feelings for her, and noticing her eagerness to continue discussing it, Oda hastily changes the subject, reminding her that she was actually studying before and shouldn't get distracted from her work. Ageha knows that Oda wants her to leave, but she tells him that she left the library because she was bored, which is why she came to him. Instead, she decides to study with him. Oda is shocked by her sudden change of heart, but goes along with it, and gives her the chance to read beside him. She pulls out a book for Oda to look at, and he initially thinks it's an electronic dictionary. However, she reveals that it's a DS Lite cleverly disguised with a dictionary cover, allowing her to play games in class without getting caught since the teacher would think it's a dictionary. She opens the book to show Oda that she's included a strategy guide inside. At first, Oda doesn't believe her, but when he checks, he is stunned to confirm it. With what Ageha has written in the book, she can now play games while everyone else believes she is studying. Since the book is with her, she tells Oda he can read while she focuses on her games. After a while Oda is reading, he gets distracted by Ageha's beauty and stops writing. Ageha, not fully concentrated on her game, notices him and asks why he has stopped moving his hands. Knowing he's been caught, Oda can't lie. Ageha misinterprets his distraction as a desire to join her in gaming, so she invites him to play with her. Just as he is about to join, Ryu, another girl, walks in. Upon seeing Ryu, Ageha tries to disguise her actions as if she's reading, but Ryu already catches on. Ryu asks Ageha why she isn't reading, to which Ageha lies, saying she's actually taking a break. However, Ryu already knows that Ageha must have tried to drag Uda into playing games as well. Ryu then drags Ageha up and insists that she needs to focus on studying, telling her to leave her game behind. Ageha doesn't want to go, but feels forced to comply. Before she leaves, she tells Uda to continue playing the game in her place and reminds him about her birthday, which she has noted in the book. She leaves everything in his hands. When Ageha mentions her birthday, Oda suddenly remembers that she had told him the last day of their test period would also be her birthday. Curious, he quickly checks the book and sees that she has written that there will be an important event on her birthday. This confuses him, as he doesn't fully understand what she means by that. It's Ageha's birthday, and everyone is wishing her well. Even a guy in her class, Yaginuma, gives her some gum since he didn't know about her birthday beforehand. Meanwhile, Uda, who knew about it in advance, struggles to come up with a gift. He considers buying her a game since he knows she loves them, but new games are too expensive, and she already has plenty of retro ones. As Uda continues to think, he overhears Ageha telling others that she plans to throw a party after the test day, and everyone expresses their interest in attending. Even Yaginuma, who just gave her a gift, says he'll be there, which prompts girls with crushes on him to want to go as well. Yaginuma then notices that Uda hasn't said anything and approaches him, asking if he'll be attending too. However, Uda is lost in thought and doesn't even register Yaginuma's question. After the test day, Uda follows everyone to the party, where they start by playing football. He participates, but feels disappointed that he hasn't had a chance to talk to Ageha yet. He promises himself to try harder during the second game, hoping he can manage to say at least one word to her. As he's lost in thought, Ageha arrives, eager to play a lottery game for a chance to win a special prize. Uda notices the game and tries to warn her that it's difficult to win, but she doesn't respond. Undeterred, she attempts to move the black capsule to win, but struggles repeatedly. Seeing her frustration, Uda decides to help with his own switch. After several tries, he successfully wins the game for her. Feeling a surge of courage, he finally manages to wish her a happy birthday. Ageha is shocked when she sees that Uda actually gives her the switch, thinking it's too generous of him. However, Uda insists she take it, explaining that he only spent 500 yen on it. Overjoyed, Ageha considers the switch the best gift she received that day. They decide to open it to see what prize is inside. Once they open the switch, they discover 30 tasty sticks. Excited, she packs them up and heads back to her friends, beaming with happiness as she tells them that Uda helped her win the prize and gifted it to her for her birthday. Meanwhile, Uda finds himself apologizing to her, leaving Ageha puzzled as to why he feels the need to apologize when he has already given her such a wonderful gift, creating a memorable moment for her. At the video game club, Ageha feels excited that summer vacation is approaching, but her friend expresses disappointment about the upcoming break. Ageha is shocked to hear this, as it's the first time she's encountered someone who feels that way. Uda, trying to understand her friend's feelings, thinks the issue might be related to the end of club meetings. Ageha speculates that her friend might be upset because she won't be able to see the club president, her crush, as often. To lift her friend's spirits, Ageha reassures her that just because the club meetings are ending doesn't mean she can't see the president. This encouragement boosts her friend's confidence. Ageha suggests that her friend could visit the president's hostel, but Tsuru feels that might be too sudden. After some thought, Tsuru considers spending the night at the president's place. Uda thinks Tsuru is getting ahead of herself, so she quickly backtracks, claiming she didn't mean it that way. However, Ageha sees through the act and tells Tsuru to embrace her feelings, encouraging her that it's okay to visit a guy's place. Tsuru feels excited about Ageha's idea, which lifts her spirits. Uda suggests that they all go to a training camp together with the president, where they could use a gaming club equipped with a TV. This would allow them to enhance their fighting game skills by teaming up to take down tough bosses in co-op games, and afterward, they could unwind with some party games. As they plan, Ageha becomes increasingly enthusiastic, envisioning the fun they could have. She tells Uda they should definitely go through with their plan. While Uda acknowledges that it sounds enjoyable, he worries about whether it qualifies as a club activity. Ageha brushes off that concern, focusing instead on the opportunity to spend time alone with Uda. Just then, the president walks in. Ageha offers to help Tsuru talk to him, but out of jealousy, Tsuru declines, insisting she wants to approach the president alone. When she nervously approaches him, she inadvertently disappoints her friends by saying something unexpected. She asks the president to be with her. Ageha and Uda exchange glances, bewildered and disappointed, wondering why Tsuru made such a statement. Fortunately, the president quickly grasps what Tsuru is trying to convey and clarifies that she actually means a game training camp. Sensing Tsuru's shyness, Ageha stands up and follows along with the president. The president suggests that the game training would be like an all-night gaming tournament, to which Ageha enthusiastically nods in agreement. However, Uda feels a bit lost, pondering whether this really qualifies as a training camp. The idea of everyone staying overnight together raises concerns for him. Despite Uda's worries, the president agrees to join, mentioning he has some games he's eager to play. Ageha chimes in, saying she has a few games in mind as well. With everyone on board with the plan, Uda reluctantly goes along with it. And so, with their expectations set, that's how the summer vacation begins. They arrive at their location, and Uda drifts off to sleep. When he finally wakes up, he jumps out of bed in shock to find Ageha on his futon. Confused, he wonders what she's doing there, and she explains that she thought it would be fun for opposite genders to play games on a futon together. However, the whole situation is just a product of Uda's sleep-talking. He hasn't truly fallen asleep yet. While they sit around playing games, Uda begins to doze off, entering a daydream where he believes Ageha is actually engaged in the drama with him. He becomes convinced he's really asleep when he asks about a game she mentioned in his dream, and the others tell him it doesn't exist. That's when he realizes it was all a dream. Later that day, right after summer vacation kicks off, they head to an inn for their summer training camp, having secured their parents' permissions. Upon entering the inn, Ageha is pleasantly surprised to spot a Famicom box machine in one corner of the room. It allows players to enjoy Famicom games by inserting money. The president isn't surprised, as he expected to find such a machine at a gaming training camp, but Uda has never seen one before. Ageha suggests they play games there after enjoying the onsen, but Tsuru expresses a desire to relax with ice cream while wearing a yukata instead. Uda stands dumbfounded as he listens to both girls mention a slew of wild game names he has never even heard of. When they finally enter their room, he is taken aback by how huge and well-furnished it is, complete with a TV and plenty of refreshments. Ageha is visibly excited by the room's amenities, while the president admires the selection of consoles available. Uda suggests they play some games, but the president thinks it might be better to just pick any game they can enjoy together, as they might not have the time to explore everything. He then turns to Ageha, asking her which game she'd like to play. She rattles off an impressive list, prompting Uda to caution her that it's a bit too much to consider all at once. After some back and forth, Ageha proposes they head to the beach first. However, Tsuru hesitates. Sensing her reluctance, Ageha tries to persuade her to join them, reassuring her that swimming isn't a requirement. If Tsuru is worried about swimsuits, Ageha offers to help her rent one at the beach. But Tsuru seems set on staying behind. She retreats to a corner of the room and picks up a game to play, expressing that she is perfectly fine enjoying her time there alone. Ageha, not wanting to give up, reminds Tsuru that this is her chance to spend time with the president, but her friend remains unmoved, focused on her game instead. Frustrated yet determined, Ageha knows she has to find a way to get Tsuru to join them for the beach outing. Since the president sees that Tsuru is not going to join them, he suggests they play some games instead, reminding everyone that they came for fun. He proposes a carefree tennis match using the remotes, which are intuitive enough for anyone to enjoy and play easily. Ageha turns it into a challenge, declaring that if she wins, they will go to the beach, but if Tsuru wins, they'll keep playing games. They start the match, and Ageha swings her remote hard and fast, making it difficult for Tsuru to keep up. The president watches intently, and Uda finds himself wishing he could join in the fun. However, it isn't long before Tsuru gets confused with the moves and stops playing, leading Ageha to consider this a win for her. Before they can convince Tsuru to play again, she quickly changes out of her clothes, revealing the swimsuit she had already put on, anticipating their beach outing. Ageha calls Tsuru to follow her to the beach so they can change, but Tsuru hesitates, feeling embarrassed about wearing a swimsuit in front of the guys. The president, eager to see her in the swimsuit, enthusiastically agrees when Ageha asks if he wants Tsuru to wear it. With no other choice, Tsuru reluctantly agrees to change into her swimsuit. After she changes, Ageha goes to meet Uda, expecting him to admire her new look. However, instead of complimenting her, Uda acts strangely, unsure of what to say. After spending time at the pool, Ageha and Tsuru are inside, drying off and preparing for the onsen. Ageha asks Tsuru if she enjoyed their time at the beach. Tsuru says she did, but her expression doesn't quite match her words, which makes Ageha feel a bit uneasy. In an attempt to lift the mood and test her newfound boldness, Ageha asks Tsuru for an odd favor, to stare at her for 2 minutes before they head to the onsen. Tsuru hesitates, finding the request strange, but eventually agrees. As the timer begins, Ageha, still wrapped in a towel, suddenly removes it, catching Tsuru off guard. Ageha explains that she was inspired by a scene from Okatsuki Vanishes, a classic Famicom adventure game, where if the player doesn't take any action for 2 minutes, a character removes their towel. She thought it would be fun to try. After the initial shock fades, both girls laugh at the ridiculousness of the situation. They decide to shower together before going to the onsen. As they rinse off, Ageha shifts the conversation, asking Tsuru what qualities she likes about the president. Tsuru hesitates before admitting that she enjoys playing Agnes alone, but feels pressured because the president always insists on playing together. Ageha sides with the president, suggesting that maybe he just wants to share the experience with her. However, Tsuru disagrees, explaining that she already has plenty of friends to play with. Recognizing Tsuru's perspective, Ageha acknowledges that it's just how Tsuru is, someone who often invites others to join her. She remarks that being included is a nice gesture and wonders if Tsuru might actually enjoy playing with the president too. Tsuru thinks about Ageha's words and then suggests they go out for ice cream together later. Ageha's face lights up with excitement, and she eagerly agrees. Meanwhile, Uda and the president are in the room, checking the contents of the Famicom software box. The president knows the box contains 15 business version cartridges of games for sale. Uda later discovers it also includes a volleyball game and a gun controller, which the president refers to as an exclusive zapper. The president explains to Uda that the zapper works by mimicking the movement of the hand, with modern controllers detecting angle changes to move the reticle on the screen. With the zapper, one can aim directly at the on-screen target. Surprised by how it works, Uda asks the president to demonstrate. The president explains that when he pulls the trigger, the target section flashes white for a split second, and the sensor on the front of the zapper detects the light to determine if it hits something. As he's explaining, Ageha and Tsuru arrive, holding bags of ice cream they bought on the way. Ageha, surprised to see the zapper, speaks up, catching everyone's attention. Uda is startled to see them already dressed after their bath. Ageha suggests they play duck hunt, and the president eagerly agrees, excited to see how well they can score. Uda goes first and, to everyone's surprise, scores 27 out of 30 points on his first try. Everyone is amazed, especially Ageha, who thinks it should have been much harder. Uda explains that he's been shooting toy guns since he was a kid, giving him an advantage. While chatting with Ageha, Uda accidentally blurts out that he's fallen in love, realizing his mistake too late. Ageha is shocked, but chooses not to ask further. When it's Tsuru's turn, she struggles and scores only 3 points because she can't see where to aim without the reticle. Then, Ageha takes her turn and decides to use a sneaky trick, shooting close to the screen. Each shot makes the screen flash, hurting her eyes. She almost loses her balance, but Uda quickly catches her, preventing her from falling. She thanks Uda and gets back on her feet, then suggests they try something different, a comedic act where 2 people wear a large coat and pretend to be one person. Tsuru and Uda immediately disagree, finding the idea too silly, while the president, unsure how to respond, suddenly realizes it's his turn to play duck hunt. The next day marked the camp's main event, the gaming tournament. Excited and impatient, Ageha suggests they start right away since it's already 9 a.m. Uda agrees, saying they could keep playing until nighttime. However, Tsuru, knowing her limits, worries that if she played for that long at home, she'd definitely get in trouble. The president proposes splitting into 2 teams. For each game, they would set a score, and the team with the highest total points at the end would win the tournament. The losing team would have to treat the winners to ice cream. Ageha eagerly teams up with Uda, excited to show off their friendship as first years. That leaves Tsuru and the president to form the other team, with the president deciding to partner with her. Before they start, Ageha encourages Uda to stay focused so they can win together. They kick off the first round with a robot fighting game, but after a tough battle, Uda and Ageha lose. In the second round, a racing game, Ageha suggests they target Tsuru, but the president quickly promises to protect her, turning it into a showdown. As the tournament progresses through 14 rounds, the teams keep checking their scores. The competition is tight, though Tsuru and the president find themselves slightly behind. Uda thinks Tsuru would have kept the scores further apart. Tsuru remarks that they would have won if they had more skill, but the president points out that she's weak at games. Ageha chimes in, proudly saying she still won, even if it was due to randomness rather than special skills. She's so happy with their score that she hugs Uda tightly, feeling lucky. Uda feels uncomfortable, but doesn't know how to express it until Tsuru stands up and angrily pushes Ageha away, accusing her of flirting too much. Tsuru then declares herself the goddess of victory and pledges to lead the president to victory just as Ageha helped Uda win. Everyone is shocked by Tsuru's sudden change in mood, and Uda wonders why she's so fired up. Energized and ready to compete, they all move on to the final battle. They play a smart balancer battle royale, with Uda and Ageha gaining the upper hand once again. The president is surprised by how seriously Uda is taking the game. During the match, Ageha pulls out a capsule, hoping to get a rare item. The president warns that there's a small chance it might explode. Sure enough, it explodes, and Tsuru is thrilled by the twist. Ageha apologizes to Uda for the poor choice, but he doesn't see it as a mistake. Confidently, he reminds her that as long as he doesn't get knocked off, they still have a chance. The more damage he takes, the stronger he becomes. He tells Ageha this is their moment to show their friendship power. Despite their best efforts, Uda and Ageha eventually lose, and the president, known as Otakogi, and Tsuru's team win. After the match, Ageha volunteers to pay for their ice cream, even treating Uda as a reward for trying so hard in their team. Uda appreciates her gesture, grateful for the team's spirit despite their loss. It's the final night of the gaming camp. Otakogi has already fallen asleep, wearing an eye mask and earplugs to block out distractions, determined to rest well for the next day. With Otakogi asleep, Tsuru decides to go to bed too, but Ageha urges her to stay up, reminding her that they were supposed to play all night. Tsuru is hesitant at first, but eventually agrees. Ageha suggests they play an extreme high-power battle, a special Bomberman mode with maximum firepower, bombs, and speed. The game is fast-paced, demanding quick reactions from everyone. After many intense rounds, Tsuru emerges victorious with 30 wins. Ageha finishes with 21, and Uda only manages 4. Uda complains that his head feels like it's about to burst from all the action. Shortly after finishing the game, Tsuru drifts off to sleep, leaving just Uda and Ageha awake. Not wanting to disturb her, they carefully lift Tsuru and lay her down beside Otakogi. Uda feels uneasy about placing Tsuru next to him, but Ageha insists it's simpler than moving her to the girl's room. They eventually decide to put her on a separate futon instead. Afterward, Ageha turns off the lights and suggests they play something else since neither of them feels sleepy. Uda initially misinterprets her suggestion as something private, but Ageha clarifies she meant another game, and he feels relieved. They settle on an action game where they travel around Japan to restore peace to Edo, a game both of them had been wanting to try. They prepare to stay up playing until morning. Later, they decide to play a cleaning game. Ageha suggests they take on a part-time job to earn some koban, but Uda wonders if the game will actually be fun. Ageha reassures him, mentioning that there will be an arcade as well. As they play, Ageha starts to doze off, resting her head on Uda's shoulder. He gently cautions her to stay awake, but she insists on holding on until they finish the game. However, when morning arrives, Ageha and Uda are nowhere to be found in the room. They are actually outside, where they finally finish the game in the morning. Feeling sleepy but happy about their accomplishment, they reflect on their late-night gaming session. Although their stay at the training camp is over, Ageha claims she still wants to play more games, listing a bunch of titles. Uda notices there are plenty of games they haven't yet played, and he realizes that even if Ageha decided to dedicate her entire summer vacation to gaming, she wouldn't be able to finish them all. Ageha, however, feels there's nothing wrong with devoting her days to playing games. After all, games have existed long before they were born, and new ones will keep coming out. From Ageha's enthusiasm, Uda figures out that she genuinely wants to play every game in the world because she finds them all enjoyable. Later, Uda understands her perspective better. He has also spent a lot of time playing older games and has a few titles he wants to try himself. He asks Ageha if she would still like to keep playing games, even though the training camp is over, since their summer vacation isn't finished yet. Ageha agrees to keep playing since she sees it as a private game without any club activities. Uda, not wanting to make it awkward, assumes her enthusiasm is just a slip of the tongue. However, Ageha is supportive of his thoughts because she has wanted to tell him the same thing before. Happy that they're on the same page, she tells Uda they should rest for the day and resume their gaming the next day. Meanwhile, Tsuru wakes up and tries to sleep next to Otakogi on his futon. However, as she considers moving back to her own futon, Ageha and Uda walk in. Ageha excitedly recounts how they carried her the previous night when she fell asleep. Tsuru can't find the words to respond, so she simply asks what they've been up to since they just returned in the morning. Ageha replies that they stayed up all night, leading Tsuru to wonder if they did something inappropriate. They quickly deny it, surprised that she would think that. In an effort to make Tsuru a bit jealous, Ageha decides to tease her and pretends that what they did was somehow emotional. She asks if it involved any dirty private things. Uda, already feeling uncomfortable with the direction of the conversation, quickly shakes his head in disagreement, insisting that's not what they did at all. Later that day, when Uda gets to his room, he can't stop thinking about why he even mentioned staying behind to play games with Ageha. He tries to brainstorm which games they could play, but struggles to come up with any ideas. Ageha suggests they go shopping for some games, mentioning a particular store she wants to visit. Uda agrees, and they decide to meet at K Station in front of the ticket booth at 2 p.m. Whenever Uda arrives early, he often feels nervous, so he decides to find a place to sit. It's then that he spots Ageha already seated nearby, checking herself in a hand mirror. As he approaches, she looks up and smiles, clearly happy that he arrived early. Uda feels a bit uneasy, sensing that the atmosphere is different today. Nevertheless, they head into the store together. Uda recalls that the last time he visited the shop, he saw a lot of retro games for sale. At that time, he didn't understand what was so special about them and passed up the chance to buy any. Now he wonders if he might find something worthwhile this time around. They check out some games, but Ageha already owns most of them, making Uda feel embarrassed for inviting her to the store. He worries he made a wrong choice, thinking Ageha might lose interest in the trip since she seems to know more about video games than he does. Uda's nerves get the best of him, and he starts saying some silly things, mistaking an item for a game. He feels so embarrassed that he can't even look Ageha in the face, especially when she gently corrects him on his mistake. After a while, Ageha spots a popular game that she never expected to find in Japan. She's so surprised that she shouts in excitement. Realizing she has overreacted, she quickly calms down. Meanwhile, Uda is silently relieved that Ageha's mood has improved. He had been blaming himself for how the day was going. However, when she checks the price, she sees it's a premium one. Noticing that Uda looks down, Ageha reassures him that he brought her to the best store after all. She admits she was unusually quiet because this is her first time being invited out by a guy for a date, making her feel awkward about the shopping experience. After explaining this to Uda, he feels a bit relieved. However, when Ageha suggests they check the other side of the store for more treasures, Uda grows nervous again, unsure if she'll find something she likes there. That day is meant solely for shopping, so Uda wonders why Ageha keeps mentioning the word date. He thinks about asking her about it, but Ageha tells him to forget it, assuring him she knows what he wants to ask. Instead, she encourages him to focus on helping her find a better game they can play together. Uda takes her to check out some PS5 games that are cheap, though he isn't sure if they'll be interesting. Ageha admits she can't guarantee it either, but she explains that people often take the risk on inexpensive games by buying them first and testing them out. She notes that the deciding factor for secondhand games is the price, which is why she often opts for them. Later, Ageha spots a game called Famicom Pro Wrestling, which she used to play as a kid. Now that she's 16, she reminisces about discussing games with her father when she was younger, which got her into sports games. This makes Uda recall why she was so good at volleyball and bowling. Ageha hints that she might one day challenge Uda to a wrestling match, which surprises him. He asks if it would be a real match or just in the game, but she doesn't specify. Instead, she asks Uda to share what games he played as a kid. Uda doesn't answer directly. Instead, he picks up a game to change the topic. This catches Ageha's attention because the game is about finding fossils. Uda explains that players have to resurrect dinosaur fossils to fight. Later, Ageha asks Uda if he actually loves playing fighting games, and she also confirms whether he is good at Smash Pro. She expresses how much she enjoys the fact that he suggested they come shopping for games, saying it's been a lot of fun talking with him. Ageha thanks Uda for inviting her that day, but he feels grateful to her in return. He lets her know that this is his first time inviting someone on a date, and he apologizes if he hasn't behaved as she expected. Ageha reassures him not to worry about it. After spending some time in the store, they eventually buy a few games at a 30% discount. Ageha suggests they play the games together at a family restaurant, but Uda proposes going to the PlayStation store or trying out other console games. He then suggests using the club room since they're still on summer break. However, Ageha insists they go to her house instead, mentioning that she has always wanted to invite him over and decides to seize this opportunity. Uda finds himself curious about what Ageha's room will look like, and he can't argue with her. Once they leave the store, Ageha takes Uda straight to her house. Upon arriving, they are greeted by some men who look like bodyguards. Uda is taken aback by the unexpected sight, feeling shocked by the situation. Ageha tells Uda to wait outside while she quickly tidies up her room. She assures him that it won't take long, claiming her room isn't too messy, but she warns him not to peek. Uda promises he won't. While he waits, the men who greeted Ageha earlier approach him and start testing him. Uda struggles to hear what their leader is saying because he's too busy eating. Eventually, he gets the impression that they want him to fight. One of the guys asks if he's heard of Virtua Fighter, leading them to their living room. Uda learns that Virtua Fighter is considered the world's first 3D hand-to-hand fighting game, enjoyed by both beginners and experts. When Uda responds that he knows about the game, the guy seems relieved, saying he would have beaten Uda up if he hadn't known it. Uda thinks it's too early for a real fight. He figures that playing games should be harmless. Reluctantly, he agrees to play. However, after the first round, Uda loses. Being a beginner, he finds it intimidating. Another guy challenges him to a second game, betting that if he loses again, they won't allow him to see Ageha anymore. Uda feels the pressure mounting as he realizes how serious this is becoming. At first, Uda doesn't respond to the guy's challenge, but he soon realizes that losing means he might not be able to see Ageha again. Determined to win, he imagines Ageha giving him tips on how to succeed. To his surprise, this visualization helps him win the match, leaving the guy visibly frustrated. One of the others even comments that it must be Ageha's influence driving Uda's determination. Feeling relieved and proud, Uda thinks he secured his place with Ageha. However, unbeknownst to him, the guys have plans to challenge him again, and their remarks turn ominous as they wish him death before they prepare to start another match. Just then, Ageha walks in and asks what they're trying to do with her guest. The guys are startled by her sudden arrival, and Uda quickly stands to greet her. He notices she has changed into different clothes, which catches his attention. The guys, trying to cover their intentions, lie that they are merely showing Uda some hospitality. Ageha, feeling jealous that she wasn't Uda's first game partner, decides to join in and play. Uda's spirits lift as Ageha teams up with him, feeling he can finally play more comfortably without the previous tension. Ageha warns the guys not to underestimate her, confidently promising that she will crush them. The guys hesitate, reluctant to let Uda go,